Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, boys and girls? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee, here to talk some Packers, talk some offseason. We got some free agency frenzy already really cranking up as there's another trade tonight. It's getting wild out there, Emilio. I don't remember an offseason being like this in a long time where there's just, it's just name after name after name that's on the trade block. And then, of course, we'll hit the breaking news here with Geno Smith. But how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Good to be here. Excited for a little Friday night frenzy, man. Let's get it. Chat's filing in. I'm ready.
Tim and Jacob's not here, so we can just kind of cut loose a little bit. We don't have to be too professional.
You know what, Jacob, man, he's just been on the list. I absolutely just been pushing back.
I got tickled last night watching him and Tim go back and forth over Devontae and DK. That was hilarious, man. Tim got on him bad. He's, you going to sit here and tell me that you would take DK over Devontae return? I was cracking up, man. But anyway, we got a little bit of breaking news here. Is obviously people in the chat already talking about it. Appreciate everybody joining us. I know we got a herd of people in here. If you would hit that like button on the way in, appreciate y'all making us part of your Friday festivities here. Ian Rappaport tweeted out, the Seahawks are trading Geno Smith, quarterback, to the Raiders, reuniting him with his old coach, Pete Carroll, per the insiders as Seattle hits reset. It's a third-round pick going to Seattle and a new quarterback for Las Vegas. You know, it's funny, we've been talking about Geno Smith here lately, and, you know, some of the arguments or some of the stances, I should say, on DK Metcalf is he hasn't had a good quarterback. And we talked about Geno as an MVP candidate 2 years ago. Now, obviously, a third for Geno, man. I'm interested to see what everybody thinks in the chat. If you would, let me know if you think that's too much to give up for Geno or not enough, because I've heard it both ways. To me, I felt like that was pretty significant, man, a third-round pick for Geno. But what do you think about it, Neil?
Yeah, I guess you would take into consideration he's going back to his old coach, Pete Carroll. Now, I didn't see this till you just put it up, but what sparked me was I was listening to DJ earlier, and he was saying, you know, who could be a sneaky QB team in the draft would be Seattle. I'm like, why? Like, they got Geno. What are you talking about, DJ? And then 5 hours later, it's like, okay, there goes Geno. Like, DJ, but he was at the combine. I'm sure he heard the conversations, right? That's where all this is getting set up. It's not like they're setting it up the day of free agency. All this been talked about before at the combine. They've had the discussions. You quote unquote, you know, we're staying away from whatever is going to get them in trouble, but we're going to discuss what's going to happen on the 12th there. So I think that third's, I don't know, man. It could be a good value. He had a good year. He was on up and coming. But if you're Pete Carroll, you know, how much time do you have? Do you want to work on, you know, a rookie QB? Let's bring in somebody you're confident in, and then we can go from there. We got a lot of other holes to fix. Max Crosby didn't get the Aaron Rodgers that he requested, but a veteran QB nonetheless. I think that's not a bad move at all.
Yeah, and obviously it sounds like they're going to move on from Gardner Minshew. I believe they had already announced they were going to cut him anyway. So I like the move for the Raiders. Get a veteran quarterback in there, and if you end up drafting Shedeur or whoever it may be to be your quarterback of the future, let Geno help show him how to be a pro. Obviously, he's familiar with Pete Carroll and what he wants in a starting quarterback. I don't mind the move at all for a third-round pick. You're not going to find a quarterback, in my opinion, in the draft that's going to step in and play at the level that Geno is capable of playing.
Right.
Doesn't mean he's going to, but capable of playing. You're not going to find that quarterback in the third round.
Looking at third-round quarterbacks projecting, would you want, you know, I have a lot better faith projecting Geno Smith is going to be able to, like you said, handle that load, handle a veteran coach coming in and being able to get them through without him probably just ripping his hair out, right? So, and then at the same time, let's try to follow the Packers rule and get somebody sitting behind him and learning as well.
Yeah, I think we've created a monster here, Emilio. King Charm with the super chat said, all offense mock draft. Out of the box. That's 1 of 10. He's saying if we get 10 super chats tonight, they're going to force us to do an all offense mock draft. That actually sounds kind of cool.
That would be pretty slick. What's the timer at on that?
True, man. We'd have to go somewhat quick, but
yeah.
All right, so There you go. I like the idea, Tron. Listen, thank you for the super chat, buddy. We appreciate you supporting the show. I think it was Jake that chimed in. He said it felt about right for a third-round pick. So
I mean, we got Willis for a 7th. So I mean, we got a deal. I mean, I'm not saying Willis is Geno, but I'm saying that he can get some wins, and I think we got a screaming deal. I think that's just kind of what you're paying. You're seeing it now that this draft class is not like last year's. There was 6 quarterbacks that went in the top 15. So this is not last year's. Cam Ward is kind of creeping out as the number 1, as you know, Cosell's been talking about him and stuff. But besides that, it's Cam Ward, Shadur, and then Jackson Dart, maybe the guy from Louisville. I mean, it's slim pickings out there. So you got to go with a veteran that you know that you can trust.
Definitely. Chuck in the chat says, is it a conditional pick? I think it's just a straight up. I haven't heard anything about conditional. Could be wrong, but I think it's just a straight up third-round pick is what it sounds like to me. So let's see anybody else have I thought there was, here we go, Coach Lynn. I think it's a bit rich for Geno. So Coach Lynn's saying they maybe overpaid a little bit to get Geno Smith. So I can understand all the different stances. I really can, man. Mike Hebring with the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He says 3rd for Geno, but wants a 1 and a 3 for DK. Come on, yeah. It's interesting, man. It's very interesting that you're willing to take a 3rd-round pick for your starting quarterback, but you're putting out there on the market. Hey, I want to say their number 1 receiver, but he really isn't their number 1 receiver. That's JSN. Mm-hmm. So it's like, however you want to look at DK. Asking a 1st and a 3rd, listen, that's the starting point, right? And when it comes to Geno, honestly, Mike, the more I think about it as we're sitting here and reading your super chat, and I appreciate you, man. It kind of feels like to me, Emilio, that the Raiders reached out to them on this one. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Geno would be
like, Pete said, I need my guy. You think he just kind of went up to him and was like, hey, look, Brady, you're bringing me in here, man. I need a QB I can work with.
Yeah. And I bet Pete and the guys, they called up and they said, hey, man, we'd like to trade for Geno. They're like, yeah, whatever. You're not taking our starting quarterback. So we'll give you a 3rd. Sold. Get him out of here. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, though. Like, who is going to play for Seattle at this point? Like, is
right.
Aaron Rodgers going up there to Seattle? I'm not happening. Move Russell, maybe. Maybe he's going to circle all the way back and head back there. I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah. 2-0 for this says, I like to think deals like this get done over Snapchat. So there you go. I can see it. Yeah. So again, Geno Smith is going to be a Raider. We got a little bit of Packers news, and for anyone who's keeping count, that is super chat number 2. So Emilio, we've got to honor it. If we get to 10 super chats, we got to do that all.
Fair. That's fair.
You guys know it. Same as last night. I kind of hope we don't hit the goal. But
yeah, we said that last time, and then it got blistered, and it was just over.
They were like, "Oh yeah, let's just ruin Clayton's."
Yeah.
Real quick. So this is at MZENITZ. I guess it's Matt Zenitz on Twitter. I guess he was the one who broke this news. It's the first I've heard of it. Hopefully it's legit. It seems like it is. It says sources tell at CBS Sports, at 24/7 Sports, the Green Bay Packers are hiring Jeff Kuhns as a member of their defensive staff. He worked for West Virginia the last 6 years, including as interim defensive coordinator last season before West Virginia coached linebackers at Ole Miss. So you guys know we're kind of looking for that linebacker coach since Coach Camp left, right? I wonder if this is the guy that they might be hiring to fill that void. And just a little bit about him. I won't read the whole bio. I'll give you a couple paragraphs here. I know y'all love it when I read online. Jeff Kuhns is in his 5th year of the Mountaineer. Obviously, this was last year, I believe. Mountaineer coaching staff. He was named defensive coordinator on October 29th for the remainder of the 2024 season. He has served as a special teams coordinator and the inside linebackers coach since 2020. In 2023, the punt return defense once again had a stellar year, ranking number 5 nationally, giving up an average of 0.23 yards per return. West Virginia ranked number 27 in net punting, averaging 40.8 yards, and number 39 in punt returns, averaging 10.23 yards per return, and returned 1 for a touchdown against UNC in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. The Mountaineers were responsible for 3 blocked field goal attempts last season, ranking number 10 nationally, which included 2 to seal the win at TCU. So it kind of sounds like Jeff Kuntz, this hire by Green Bay, got a little bit of special teams background there too, right? So I'm interested to see if he just takes over at backer or what, but they obviously seen something. I don't know, man. It just kind of feels like this is off the wall, right out of left field. But
I think that's how they're keeping us on the toes, Clay. Honestly, the fact that, hey, we're going to go out and get a defensive coordinator. Hey, it ends up be Hafley. We're going to go out, and last year we were so excited about all the the talent that we brought in that had all the experience and everything, and I love that. But again, at some point you got to give maybe a young guy a shot. We're young at the team. Let's get that energy in here. Get him up here. He played coached at Ole Miss too, so maybe he's seen some talent come through there as well. It could have been anyone like Walter Nolan type talent. I was trying to pull through our board and see who on defense we had from West Virginia. The best West Virginia players, obviously Wyatt Malum, the offensive tackle. There is an O lineman down in the 500s, a cornerback, Garnett Hollis Jr. He's in the 400s, 80s. Sean Martin is a D lineman, 470s. There's a long snapper for Greg Rice, who I know is not here, but Austin Brinkman, long snapper, he's at 435, and then just a safety, Aubrey Burks. So not too much talent coming across, but I think he's bringing a lot more than energy, scheme, ideas. Different. You got to bounce off ideas from somebody else once in a while.
Absolutely, and a young coach, I think that's important too. You can connect with the players a little bit more there. Jay Cole says new linebackers coach ? That's where his background is, but it wasn't announced like that. It just said defensive assistant, right? I mean, defense just says defensive staff. Maybe that is the plan, Jay. That would make the most sense, but it could be. Didn't we lose our special teams assistant to somebody like Jacksonville or somebody? Am I thinking right?
I think
so.
Right.
That this kind of fits the bill of maybe he steps into that void to help Rich Bisaccia, seeing that Rich Bisaccia is the assistant.
And it could always kind of be like that Bill Belichick thing where we're bringing him on as a defensive assistant and someone wants him back, and all right, we're just going to promote him to linebackers coach, or we're going to pop him up a level. So you always got to try to be ahead in that scenario.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, moving on to the next news of the day here. So we got the details of the Brandon McManus contract here, and I just said Russ Ball and Goody cooked here. Here are the cap charges, the cap hits for Brandon McManus. In 2025, $3.49 million against the cap. In 2026, it jumps to 5.3, and then in 2027, it jumps to 6.2. Now, obviously, we always say if it's a 3-year deal, it's really a 2-year deal, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a 4-year deal, it's really a 3-year deal. That's typically how the NFL works. So, seeing that you can get out of the majority of that 6.2 in year 3, really, really like the way they structured this, man. Also put note, the cap charges are calculated based on the 11 games McManus played in last season, therefore not counting all $500,000 of his possible per game bonuses if he plays in all 17 games. And this was obviously reported first that I've seen by Rob Domofsky, who laid out all the details there. In 2025, the signing bonus will be $5 million. Base salary, $1.4 million per game, roster bonus of up to $500,000, which would basically be, if he's active, $29,412 per game. Workout bonus is going to be $100K. Total cash paid up front is going to be $7 million. In 2026, the base salary jumps to $2.1 million. The roster bonus is $1 million. And then the per game roster bonus up to $500K. Workout bonus $100K again. Total cash $3.7 million. In 2027, it looks like the base salary jumps to $4 million. So, Amelia, I don't know about you, man, but I think this is great news. We got our kicker for the next 2 years, and I think he's going to win. He's going to win us ball games. I believe that, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, he done it last year, so I'm not really not worried about it. I think we were saying that all the end of last year. At least you were. I were. When he comes up to kick, I'm really not worried. We were sitting on the edge of our seat for 6 weeks. I mean, it was brutal. At this point, it's like, all right, it's going to go in. It's going to go in. If he misses it, no big deal. Like, I'm not mad at the dude for how well he performed. I think that it's huge that we got him signed. One less thing that we got to worry about in the offseason. We were stressing about it all last year. What's Anders going to do? Who we bringing in? Joseph, competition, this, that. Like, let's just hammer something down and move on. We got somebody that works. We got Wheelan. That room is solid. If you want a new long snapper, fine. But I'm not mad at that. I think it's good money, and let's just take care of it. Especially after looking at what happened to Tucker. The guy got paid a lot of money, didn't kick well. So I'm happy we found him.
Again, and I want to go on the record right now, just like I did last year. As soon as the season wrapped up, I wanted McManus back, and I want to be on the record saying I am not expecting him to kick 95%.
Right.
Not expecting that.
Right.
You give me 85%, money well spent.
Shoot, we were happy with 70, 60. I'm pretty sure I was like, yeah, if Anders kicks like 40%, I'll be happy. I'm like, and the fact that we hammered that out and just smoothed it right out is perfect.
Yeah, no doubt. Prince in the chat, kicker talk for free. Remember this day, boys. It ain't ever happening again. All right. It ain't going to happen again. All right. Next on the docket, we got some exclusive rights free agents that have pretty much, I don't know if they've all signed yet, but I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time an exclusive rights free agent didn't sign the tender here, but the Packers are bringing back several players as exclusive rights free agents, most of which provided significant depth in 2024. We'll just go right down the line, Emilio. We've hit on some of them already, but here's the complete list to the best of my knowledge. I think we only had 6 available. We signed all 6, but safety, Zane Anderson, we talked about him at the end of the year. Stepped up big, man. I think it makes me feel really, really good knowing that if one of our safeties go down, if Evan Williams or Xavier McKinney goes down, Zane Anderson's probably going to step in before they would pull Javon Bullard out of the slot and put him back at safety.
Or bring in Oladapo. Yeah, I mean, I think he played himself some snaps this next year. You know, you keep that going in preseason. I think that that's a screaming deal. That's a clearance rag deal for $1 million. Bring him back.
Yeah. Next, you got wide receiver Bo Melton. I seen some people
cheese curds and my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
I seen some people reporting on Twitter like Bo Melton didn't sign or didn't get tagged, and I'm like, really? They didn't tag Bo? Evidently, he did because I'd seen multiple sources that had Bo Melton listed here as well. So obviously, he may not have signed it yet, but Bo Melton is also going to be getting the exclusive rights free agent. Most of I think this is awesome, dude. Bo Melton watching. I actually showed a clip earlier today, right? And it was that screen pass to Emmanuel Wilson at the game we went to, Emilio, down in Nashville.
Yep.
And if you watch that screen pass, they did the little F-zipper orbit, right? And sure enough, that F-zipper orbit, guess who it was? It was Bo. So they had Bo playing F on that specific play. That's something I went, oh, okay. So
they hit him with that yo-yo. That's what happened.
That's exactly right. As we got made fun of course. So, King Tron with the super chat. Appreciate you, boys. Boys, as always, thank you for all you do. I seriously love a little breakdown on who is available on the market as far as D tackle and edge. Thanks, y'all. Yeah, we will let us finish this up right here. I'll keep this on the screen, and maybe we can dive into the free agents and just give you guys an update. And the chat can chime in. Emilio, you can do it as well and remind me of who's on the trade block, and we'll just kind of break each of them down a little bit. But thank you for the super chat there, Tron. We'll keep it up so I don't forget in my old age here. Next, you got defensive end or edge defender Aaron Mosby. He's going to be back as an exclusive rights free agent. Tackle Kadeem Telfort. He'll be back. Of course, punter Daniel Whelan. Let's go, dude. You kidding me? And go ahead and set yourself up with a 3-year extension there. Let's go ahead and get that on the books and out of the way. I want him to be my punter for the foreseeable future for sure. And, of course, we talked about running back Emmanuel Wilson, graded out as a top 10 running back according to PFF, if I remember correctly. So I like all these guys, man. And this is Goody being Goody right here, just finding these dudes and obviously plugging them in as you go.
Right. And, I mean, having that, you need to have a floor. You need to have some sort of baseline of talent that you have. Mosby got some burn. Bo got some burn. Kadeem didn't get as much, but – came in strong when my boy TG had a little hiccup there in the playoffs. And then Daniel Whelan, we need him. Emmanuel was lights out, top 10 running back last year. So it's that almost all no-brainers, right? Let's bring these guys back and let's see what we can do with them. No point in letting them slide away.
Definitely. So, again, I think this is all good news that these guys will most likely be back, barring any kind of buck in the system there and not signing the exclusive rights tags there. So, all right, let's jump into what was asked here by King Tron about who is on the market. Let's just start with PFF here, man, and just kind of take a quick look. This is the PFF free agent page, all right? And listen, it's not going to have them all on here, but let's just kind of go by position. As Tron asked, defensive tackle and edge is what he's interested in. So let's start with defensive tackle. And these may not be updated yet, okay? Just keep that in mind. Like, obviously, this first one here, he re-signed with Dallas, right? Osa re-signed with Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's off the market. Milton Williams will be available, Okay. His PFF grades, and again, these are defensive tackles. His PFF grades 72, 70, and 76 last year. His projected contract is 3 years, $21 million per year, $40 million guaranteed with the $63 million total deal there. Emilio, my question to you is, would you like to sign Milton Williams for $21 million per?
That's a negative for me. I mean, I love that he has that, that skill, that age group. But DJ was talking; he's going to get paid, dude. He's going to get the bag. It's not like there's a lot of D tackles that are going to slip away. But you have the potential to find that kind of talent in the draft, in this deep D-line draft. That's just a little steep for me. We tried it. I'd rather, start cheap, see if we can find a freak and go from there rather than kind of chase another Kenny route.
Yeah. Up next, Detroit Lions defensive lineman here, Levi.
I'm with Enrique.
All right. 2 years, $8.25 million per. So just a $10 million guaranteed, $16.5 million total is the projected contract here. His PFF grades 68.5 and 70.2 last year.
I could almost see him going back, though. I could see him going back to the Lions. I don't see them losing that again.
Yeah. We got Tim joining us now. Tim, we're just answering a super chat here and just kind of walking through the market real quick, as obviously we're just a couple of days away, really about 48 hours away from free agency completely opening up. How was your day, man? You doing all right?
Doing great. Glad to be here. Better late than ever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Glad you jumped in. It's a pleasant surprise. Next, you got BJ Hill. He's the 53rd ranked free agent according to PFF. His projection, 2 years, $10.25 million per year. 12. What's happening there? I love it when random videos just start playing on my computer. That's absolutely awesome. So BJ Hill is looking at roughly a $10 million per on 2 years, $12 million guarantee, which essentially just means it's a 1 year, $12 million contract with a club option. So is really what that is saying there. So PFF grades 68, 67, and 70. Would you be willing, boys, to pay $10 million for BJ Hill? $10 million per year.
Meh.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the meh because you're going to take snaps away from whoever you draft there. Right? And who knows, man, it may fall into place that you end up getting a stud 3-tech in the first round. And if you've already, signed a guy like BJ Hill to $10 million per, you're going to feel obligated to play him over that young whippersnapper. And you want those guys to get as many snaps as you can. Now, somebody like Calais Campbell, if he somehow does it again, guys, this dude's 38 years old. Yep. And his PFF grade was 82.3. The year before, 80. The year before that, 76. Like, he's getting better as he gets ready to draw Social Security here. This is just unbelievable. 1 year, $3 million. I don't believe that's accurate. That's just my personal opinion. I think he'll get a little more than that. But I would welcome Calais Campbell with open arms for anything less than $10 million. Like, come on in here, dude. Mm-hmm. And help this interior defensive line. That's one, if you're going to get in the range of top 10, top 5 defensive tackle, that's worth taking reps away from a young guy. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And even though, his snap count's a little fluctuating, numbers really only going up. His WAR ranking so it was 0.17 from 2022, 2023, and then went up to 0.21. Grades just climbing ever since. I'm not mad at that. Take one shot at him, give him we don't need him to play 600 snaps either. You know what I mean? Let's get him at 400 or 500, get him comfy, and run him into, if he wants to play that like that, run him into the ground in the playoffs when you're making your run. I mean, that's how you got to do it.
Tim, you would be all right with this, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all things being considered about the age and, all those things, this guy makes his team better. You look back at his Arizona days, the time he spent in Jacksonville, Baltimore, like he's kind of a journeyman now because he's getting up there. He's pushing 40, right? But he's the kind of guy that's he's gonna pick up that D-line group no matter what. And, I don't care if he's not playing, 50 snaps a game anymore. It doesn't matter. I think he brings a little stability. And like you said, if you can get him for kind of the cheap, for lack of a better term, I say go ahead and do it. I mean, I think it can do more good than than harm at this point. Bringing a guy like that in for a sweetheart deal, you know.
Great
And we would
locker room
still
guy.
be, yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say we'd still be super young as a defense, even just by adding him. You know what I mean? It's not like it's gonna rip down that number that we all love being, young and athletic, but having that talent, having that experience is what we need.
Yep.
Yeah, I like what Too Old for This says too. I'd love Calais Campbell. I like the youth movement, but youth for the sake of youth is meaningless. Bring in some older guys. I could not agree more. It's like we get so angry with this team for making mistakes, right? And it's they're young. They got to grow. They're young. They got to grow. And then the second that someone mentions, hey, let's bring in a veteran, an aging veteran, it's, well, he's too old. Hell, we're saying that about the draft. We got fans that are literally looking at 24-year-olds going, he's too old to draft.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so how did that work with Bo Nix last year? That was one of the knocks on him was he's an older rookie, right? He's played college football for quite some time, stepped right in there with Sean Payton and took off, right?
Yep.
I think there's some value to that as well. So Jaron Reed, obviously we don't chew our backer twice around here. It's looking like he's going to get $6 million per. He was the other cat that walked into the steakhouse in Green Bay that night when we were all hanging out in there. So he seemed like a good dude, but no offense there, Jaron. We don't want you back here. You're going to do just fine somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Poona Ford, this one's interesting, man. Poona Ford, 29 years old. All right. He obviously played for the Chargers last year. The projected contract is 1 year, $3.5 million, with just $1.5 million guaranteed. Now, most of his career, you can see here, 56.6, 59.3, but last year, 85.3 on 652 snaps. I would totally be okay with taking a flyer on him. Worst case scenario, he doesn't make the team in camp and you just eat $1.5 million in dead cap. You know what I mean? But if he goes into camp and you're like, this dude's the real deal, he's picking up where he left off last year, you might get to steal a free agency. And who knows, the contract may warrant more than that by the time it's all said and done. But what do you guys think about Poona Ford? Am I off base here with that one? You're muted, Emilio. I was like, dang, I pissed him off.
No, you're definitely right. That's on me. No, I'm not mad at that. I think that, for a clearance rag deal, we have a little bit of money to play with. We added another $20 million just for fun, basically, just because of the TV deal. So it's like, why would you be mad at throwing, a couple bucks here and there just to see if you can find someone to break that D-line free? And that's, if that's a breakout year for him, awesome. But you got to, you're also, a lot of it's projecting draft and players now. He was 56 PFF grade back in 2022, had an 85 this past year. Is that 85 going to carry? Like Clay's saying, I think that it could. And that's something you got to take a risk on once in a while. You never know.
And even if he hits somewhere in the middle, right? Like even if he grades out in the mid 70s or something, and you catch a good deal on him, I think it's astounding to look at the grades in the last 2 years. I mean, obviously he was injured last year a little bit, missed a lot of snaps, but to make that jump 59 to 85, you figure what's the happy medium? Somewhere north of 70. I'll take it, especially for the cheap,
Definitely. All right, next we got Tershawn Wharton from Kansas City. Looks like 2 years, $8.2 million, so $9 million guaranteed for a total of $16.5 million over 2 years. PFF not kind to him, 55, 58, 60. I'd say I'd pass on that one. Tier Tart, I hope I'm saying that correctly. 1 year, $2.5 million for the 28-year-old. That's somebody that's interesting. 73.1. Then he dropped to a 54. Last year, he rebounded to a 78, albeit just 378 snaps. That might be some extra depth there for sure. It says
Yep, I was just going to say that could be another jump-off piece. Take a chance on him.
Yeah, and again, if it's $1.25 million guaranteed, eat that dead cap. If it didn't work out by the time camp breaks, and you got somebody you like better than him, no big deal. DJ Jones, another one here, 2 years, $9 million. PFF 63, 56. And 67 were his PFF grades at 30 years old. I'd say no there. So we'll just stop at the top 100. Those are the defensive tackles that were mentioned in the top 100. So the ones that kind of grabbed my attention: Tart, maybe take a flyer on. Poona Ford, maybe take a flyer on. And then Calais Campbell. If that price is real, shoot, yeah, I'd fully guarantee it. I would, and that's what it looks like. The whole thing would be guaranteed. So, I think that's it. So,
yeah, I like those. I like those three. Absolutely. One of them you have, proven talent with age and, experience. The other two you're taking a little bit of a flyer on, maybe like a Campbell move, bring in a Rasul type idea and see if they can't explode.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on to the edge defenders here. This one right off the bat, you guys know this is my guy. If you say Clayton, you can only sign one player in free agency this year, it's between him and Chris Godwin. That's just
Clayton, though. Are the Chargers in a pinch now that they got rid of Bosa and that they need an edge rusher? I mean, are they going to overpay Mac now?
It kind of feels like to me their plan was let Bosa go and bring back Mac. Now, we're coming down to the wire here. We're just like we said, about roughly 48 hours away, from everything popping off. So if the deal is going to get done, it's got to get done quick, Tim. I know this. If you could bring in Khalil Mack 2 years, $22 million per, throw on maybe 2 or 3 avoidable years to keep the cap number down and pay it later. And that way you can continue to get the other pieces you need in place if you do fall in love with a Chris Godwin or someone else in free agency. Khalil Mack, man, opposite of Rashawn Gary, it's music to my ears. You do that, and then you go take one of these 3 techs, which we know the draft is real heavy with 3 techs this year. I think you could really revamp that defensive line. And what do you think, Tim?
I agree, but sources say that Khalil Mack is open to a reunion with the Bears. I've heard murmurings. I don't have to name sources, right? This is line season. I can just say sources say Khalil Mack is.
Damn, breaking news.
Khalil Mack is not opposed to rejoining the. I'll just say it's Friday night. The Chicago Bears.
It is Friday night, Tim.
So if that happens, here's my question, or if that's true, if that's actually substantiated and it's a fact, are you willing to get into a bidding war with the Bears to ensure that maybe we get our hands on him before they do?
I'll tell you this: every team's got a number on a player. Right? That, hey, this is the max we would go for him. I would like to see him get into a bidding war, even if Chicago gets him. Jack that price up on him, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I'd feel about it. So I don't know. What would be the top number you would pay for Khalil Mack for 1 to 2 years per? You know what I'm saying? Like what would it be, Emilio? Because they've got him listed at $22.5 million. Okay. Now, some people were saying that the calculated market value is $27 million, right? What do you think would be the max that you would pay for Khalil Mack? Be honest, too. We can disagree here, man.
I would say if we're going to push it, I wouldn't want to go past 25. But it seems so steep. It really does when you could get like a Calais Campbell and have that kind of mentor, but you're not going to get that kind of talent. I mean, it's a
right.
Are you trying to pay up front with cash, or do you want to use the draft pick? I think I would still spend that. If we don't pull a couple flyers, we got $20 million from the TV deal. So I would just say it's a $5 million contract and run with it.
Absolutely. Shout out to King Tron here. Been a member for 2 months. Like, share, and sub for the boys. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you, Tron. Thank you so much. Yeah, and here's the other thing too. Like, you're going to take snaps away from LVN if you do this.
Yep.
That if the number gets so high and you got that in the back of your mind as well. Of course, we got the hockey line that we always talk about, right? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, man. Khalil is one that definitely grabs my attention for sure. Khalil Mack is. Josh Sweat is one I am not excited about. And I've seen several people were really, really excited about him. Like, hey, let's bring in Josh Sweat because of the Super Bowl performance there. His PFF grades, guys, 83. Then he dropped all the way to a 67. And then he barely climbed up to a 70. His projected value is 3 years at $18 million per. To me, that's the epitome of overpaying for good, not great. Now, we were just talking about Khalil Mack. I didn't mention his grades. 71 in 2022. Then he jumped all the way to a 91 PFF grade. And then last year he jumped, or he fell back just a touch, but still a 90.2 PFF grade. He was the 6th highest graded edge defender in 2023, and then the 5th highest graded edge defender in 2024. Josh Sweat, though, to me, man, that seems like that be overpaying a little bit there. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I would agree with that because it looks like if you scroll back up to K Mac there, it looks like he's getting better with age. Like He's like a fine wine. He's getting better with age and time. And, some of these other guys on the list look like they're already on the decline. So, Khalil Mack, I think Emilio's spot on somewhere in that 25. Like anything under 30 mil is probably worth discussing, even if it's for the sake of driving the price up, right? Just so the Bears gotta pay more and find themselves in cap hell or whatever it is. So, I don't know. I think Khalil Mack looks better and better the more we scroll down this list, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
And Zacchaeus Earl said you can just skip past Hashan Reddick here. He did nothing last year, held out half the season just to come back and do nothing at all. Go ahead, Emilio.
Yeah, I mean, and to Josh Sweat, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think maybe, Goody'd probably be excited. Dude's 6'5", 265 at 27. Not terrible, but like Tim said, that fine wine up at the top, man, that's why they always put the most expensive bottles on the top shelf, so I'm totally fine with that.
Yep.
That's right. All right, so there's Hashan Reddick, 84 down to a 73, down to a 53 after holding out half the year. That's that's rough there. Next guy here obviously had no snaps in 2024, but that was Malcolm Kuntz. In 2022, only 68 snaps. In 2023, 501 snaps at 81.3 was his PFF grade. He's only 26 years old, but they're saying his market value is $18.7 million. It says if Kuntz hadn't suffered a season-ending knee injury before the 2024 season began and instead carried over his momentum from the back half of 2023, he could have been squarely within the top 10 of our list. Perhaps the silver lining, if there is one, to getting injured so early in the year is that Kuntz should be healthier entering the free agency period than if he got hurt during the season. A short-term deal where Kuntz can hit the market again in 2026 or sign an extension 1 year into a 2-year deal. Let's see, recent edge defenders like Uchenna Nwasu could make sense. So obviously he's coming off a knee injury, but 2023 looked like the real deal there. What do you guys think about Malcolm Kuntz here? Looked like he played for Vegas in 2024 as he got hurt there.
I still just think it's crazy that dudes are pulling that kind of money at the edge rusher position. No wonder Goody's trying to pull the trigger in the draft. You know what I mean? If you can hit on an edge rusher in the draft, the fact that you wouldn't have to drop 20 million per year for basically any of these guys, I'd really like to do that instead of this. But yeah, if we had a chance at him, I'm not mad, but he's got coming back off an injury. I think it's a little tough.
Yeah, Prince in the chat here, Tim, says, tell Campbell and Mac that tapioca pudding is served every Wednesday at Lambeau right before bingo starts, and they'll come and run it. So, there you go. I love it. I remember the bingo nights when I was a kid, man. That was a big thing back home. There wasn't a whole lot to do in Kentucky, so the parents would get together at the bingo parlor. And, man, I remember trying to find Mom through all the smoke in there. Everybody smoking those Pall Malls. They had the best hot dogs on the face of the earth, man. They were the cheapest hot dogs you ever eat in your life. But, it's the good old days, man.
I love it. So, in other words, Prince is saying Campbell and Mac are old dogs, right?
I think that's what he's saying, yeah.
Back in my day, we played with leather helmets and no pads at all.
It's wild to think, though, like Baron Browning here, right? He's the 40th ranked free agent, and his grades are trash. 55, 74, 58. Like, why is he, you know what I'm saying? Why is he ranked so high? Now, his projected contract, that reflects, the grades at 1 year, $6 million. But I don't understand. I can't figure out PFF how they'll have low grades on a player and then have them ranked high on a draft board or on a free agent rank. It's just wild. Dayo Odeyingbo. I think I got it. PFF grades 62, 56, 66. 4 years, $16.5 million. What am I missing? What am I missing here?
It's just so much money. That's what I'm saying. I think when you start to do these kind of deep dives, the picture gets a little bit clearer. Like, obviously Goody's trying to hit on an edge so you don't have to pay $20 million in free agency. Let's try to save up, $4 million. You find someone that's a winner, you pay him. We found Rashawn, we paid him. We got to find somebody else that we need to pay on the edge. If it's this year, if it's LVN, whoever it is, that's where I'd almost be. Maybe we need to go back to D-line and see if the interior is worth paying. I have no idea.
Right. Moving along here, Chase Young, he's been talked about a lot, right? 2 years, $17.5 million is his projected with $20 million guaranteed. So it's essentially a 1 year, $20 million deal is his projected value. 25 years old, going to be 26 soon. 78.4 only on 114 snaps, and he dropped to a 74.7 on 891 snaps. Then he dropped all the way to a 66.4 on 740 snaps. Seeing that the main talking point on Chase Young is he takes plays off for $17.5 million, can't do it, can't have it. You disagree with that, fellas, or any?
Nope.
You make a
No,
case for it.
I'm completely fine with passing on that, dude. You don't want someone quitting on you. You got the guys looking to the left and the right. It's not how that Halfley has built that defense, I don't think.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you hit it last night, Clayton. You said something's got to be there. There's got to be something there for him to be that young and working his way through the league already. Multiple staffs. There's something there.
It's almost like they're all saying, let's take a flyer on. Then he gets there and they go, okay, yeah, let's just go ahead and move along.
Yep.
There's something.
Cash the check, show up for work, punch the clock, go home. Yeah.
Right. DeMarcus Lawrence is interesting. He's going to be 33 years old. 2 years, $7.5 million per, right? They got him listed as an edge defender. I think at one point he played a little 3-tech, but it was in a kind of a NASCAR type package, I believe. So 2022 is 73.9. In 2023, he jumped all the way to a 91. And then last year, he only played 167 snaps. You got to kind of throw that out. But it says Lawrence was lost for the season in week 4, but not before racking up 3 sacks, a forced fumble, 4 tackles for a loss, and 5 more quarterback hits through just 1 month. Damn. So, the veteran is a disruptive force on all 3 downs when healthy, but a Liz Frank injury to the foot could lead to a tricky free agency period. For $7.5 million, and they're saying $8 million guaranteed, You've got to be willing to take a bath with that $8 million, But man, if he the fact that he had a 56.8 but had that type of production before he got hurt, I don't understand that. But if he's
he was in a Dan Quinn defense in Dallas in 2023.
That's a good point.
So that may explain the resurgence there.
And that year they played a lot of man coverage, I'm pretty sure too, Tim. So one of those top players there. Terms of an edge defender.
Yeah. I wouldn't. That $7 million isn't bad. I was pulling up his 23 grade, so he was the 91.3 overall. He had an 80.3 pass rush and a 92.4 run defense. He was second in edge rushers that year in run defense. So that's not a bad one for that price. Besides Khalil Mack, I think I'm second on Lawrence there.
Got it. Matthew Judah. I'm just kind of glancing through to see if there's any of these other guys that we would be interested in. Man, Josh Uche dropped off the face of the planet. Oh, God. 83.1 in 2022 and then a 57.54. Derek Barnett, didn't he just sign? I'm thinking, did he? No, that's somebody else I'm thinking of. Anyway, Derek Barnett played for Houston last year. They're saying projection $4.2 million. He had pretty good production there in 2023, 82.4 and then dropped to a 74.2. Might be somebody to think about. That's pretty much it in the top 100. We had a question here from Coach Lynn. Read that off for me there, Emilio. I'm going to see if I can pull up.
We were talking about this pre-show, Clayton. I was asking you about. The Athletic podcast was talking about the Packers trading for Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati. That's
interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah. Now he wears no gloves, right? He's got the no gloves, long sleeve look, right?
Reggie White, baby, let's go.
Yeah, no gloves, white, long sleeve look. He plays hard. He does. I think they were talking about possibly a third or a second for him.
Mm-hmm.
Second's a little rich for me, but if we worked out a third trade, we got Malik for 7th, the third for an edge rusher instead of $22 million. Maybe they carry some of the cap. We work out a deal with that. That's a possibility.
Yeah, and here's the PFF grades, guys. Starting in 2017, 61, 65, 68, 70, 73, 82, 82, 88. He's gotten better every year.
Yep.
Every year. And he led the league in sacks last year. I think it was 16.5, right? I want to say he's carrying over somewhere around $17 million in cap hit. Would I be willing to trade a second-round pick for the NFL sack leader to line up opposite of Rashawn Gary? I think I would, boys. I think I would. That's, to me, and again, he's 30 years old, so it's you'd be unrealistic to think He's not going to decline moving forward, so you got to take that into account with the next contract. But for me, man, I don't know. I think I would be on board with a second. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Third, run it up there. You kidding me?
Yeah, sure.
So,
I feel better about that than the same or similar scenario for a DK Metcalf, which has been discussed ad nauseum. Auctioning the franchise for a guy like that. I think Hendrickson would be probably a better look here. And like you said, even with him, getting older and possibly falling off, look at the numbers. Like, what is that fall off really going to be? Is it going to be that significant? Maybe he's a veteran that can kind of bridge that, 1 to 3 year gap as you develop these other guys on your defense,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great point. Anything else you want to add to that talk there, Emilio?
My only pushback would be, if we're mad at giving up a third for him and we have to pay him or something, if it pans out and we get that edge rusher, perfect. That's what we were looking for. He's 30 going on or 31, and climbing. Khalil Mack, we were going to pay him $22 million to come over at 35. So it's what is the difference? Where's that cutoff? The dude produces. If everybody is happy and wants sacks, he'd probably break 100 when he's here, right? So that would that's what, if that's what you're asking for, that's what you get.
Yeah. That's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate it.
We are closing in 1, 2.